going on the road now after 3 weeks at home, so you're kind of right back where you've been in terms of the work it takes and the preparation. Put away what you did last week and you start fresh and get ready for another week, and a great test for us.
Going into the bye week with a win, just that confidence, just getting it going for the second part of our schedule, and we're trying to even the score up.
And Luther Auto. And now, to kick off your NFL weekend, this is Vikings Live.
Looking good, PA. Looking good.
What do you mean?
You're just looking good tonight. Ronald Johnson's looking good, too.
We're playing Panthers, and I'm sprouting wings, so you caught me at a vulnerable moment. And plus, Zimmer's in the green room, and he's already
looking good.
He's already crotchety. We haven't even started the interview. And he can watch this.
Welcome to Vikings Live, everyone, as the Vikings are looking good as they try to head into the bye week with a win against the Panthers this weekend. Along with Ron Johnson and Paul Allen, I'm Hobie Artigue. Dawn Mitchell will join us in just a little bit. But, guys, the Vikings getting that win against the Lions. Granted, it was a little closer than a lot of the experts expected, but still a win nonetheless in the NFL is a win. Vikings sitting at 2-3, looking for another one before taking a little break. Ron, what have you liked about this team through 5 weeks?
Resilience. I mean, so many teams would probably, go in the tank when the kicker has a bad game. They stuck with him. Mike Zimmer seems like he's figured out the kicker whisperer now. He's taken a step back and said, if he misses a kick, he misses a kick. Let's make the next one. Mm-hmm. And he does that against the Lions. I think Kirk Cousins showing that he can. I mean, if he had made some of these other kicks and some of the stuff didn't happen, he would have 3 game-winning drives already this season. And so people have put a lot of emphasis on some of the bad, but you have to look at the good. They have won 2 games. They should have won more. But, hey, it's a long season. They've only lost 3.
People seem to forget that, granted this Lions team is winless, but the Ravens are 4-1, and the Ravens could go to the Super Bowl from the AFC, and it took a 66-yard field goal to beat them. So, everybody, the intel into the game was the Lions play really hard. They're really tough. Campbell's message is working. They're just deprived of talent. We saw that. Now, the way it ended, you don't want the fumble, but you do want the walk-off. Mm-hmm. So it's from 2 and 3, it's getting the defense and the offense to mesh obviously is so key, but one or the other is getting the others back every single week. Mm-hmm. So if it comes together, man, I'm telling you, they could beat any team in the NFL.
You mentioned the offense right now against Seattle. They looked pretty much unstoppable in that game. They had a touchdown in the first drive against the Browns, but since then, they've had only 1 touchdown in the last 112 minutes of game time. Oh. It seems like right out of the gate, this offense is clicking, and then they kind of hit a lull. Ron, what needs to change before heading into that bye, especially this weekend in Carolina?
Well, I mean, honestly, I'm not going to be cliche, but it's do what you do in the first drive, because you script out those first 15 plays. Maybe, and Peyton Manning talked about this on the ESPN telecast he did, and it was, I sat there and I would look at my first 30 plays. Why? Because the game is not 15 plays. And maybe that's what Kubiak might need to do is let's look at that next drive. We know our first drive is going to come out and punch them in the mouth because they don't know what to expect with our offense. Mm-hmm. Let's come back in that next drive and hit them again. And then I think from there, then you go to your card and you call it how it is. Other than that, I think Kirk Cousins is doing a good job. It's just defenses, for some reason, they're figuring it out. And some of the throws that are there early are not there late in the second half.
Dalvin was full in practice today, so that's really, really good news. Now, with Kirk Cousins off what Ron said, Kirk's been mostly fantastic this year. When things are in a frenzy, like the end of the Cincinnati game, Arizona, end of the Detroit game, he's been unbelievable. Mm-hmm. So I don't exactly know what the connection is with what comes into the huddle. There is no huddle. What he hears and how he distributes it, but when things get willy-nilly and you just got to go fast, Kirk has been terrific. So I'm not saying, go up tempo, no huddle all the time, make the whole game a frenzy, but that's kind of a hidden positive with him.
And you mentioned Dalvin Cook being a full participant at practice today, and potentially this weekend we'll see 2 of the best in the game in the backfield. Hopefully we'll see some healthy running backs this weekend, because Dalvin Cook and Christian McCaffrey have been a handful whenever you look at some of their stats since 2018. Christian McCaffrey, each guy averaging 5+ yards a touch. Each guy has 35+ touchdowns. but the games played, both guys have missed time over the last few years. It's no question that these are two of the top 5 running backs in the league, you could argue at this point in time. But, PA, which running back do you feel is more valuable to their team heading into Sunday? McCaffrey's a 50-50 chance.
Yeah, I think they're the best 2 running backs in the NFL because they're multifaceted. They catch, they run between the tackles, they get outside, and they protect. So, I mean, that's with all due respect to Ezekiel Elliott and everybody else. But when these guys are 100% and like full throttle, they're the best 2 running backs in the NFL. The Vikings, I would imagine somehow, and I'm going to get into this with the coach when we sit down in those chairs, is the team is 2-0 with Alexander Mattison.
Yeah.
But there has to be some component absolutely missing, not having Dalvin. If you're a Mike Zimmer or an elite defensive mind putting together a plan, maybe it's play action. I don't know. We'll get into it.
Ron, how needed is Dalvin Cook to make sure you get to 500 before the bye?
He's huge. I agree with PA on 50% of what he said. I think Dalvin is up there, 1. I think right 1A and 1B is him and Derrick Henry. I'm going to put McCaffrey down with right below Kamara. Because I think my top 3 are going to be Alvin Kamara, Dalvin Cook, and Derrick Henry, and then McCaffrey. And the reason is because Dalvin can run between the tackles. McCaffrey is more of a true zone guy. You don't see him going up the middle like Dalvin. But PA is dead on. These 2 guys have to play. They're both really good running backs, and they are multifaceted. I like the fact that Dalvin Cook, and I agree with that too, is the play action. When Dalvin Cook's in the game, the play action for Kirk is wide open.
We're now looking at that defense for the Vikings. They took some criticism early in the season, but especially this last game, that second half against the Browns, forcing turnovers, getting to the quarterback. Ron, what stands out the most about what they're doing so well?
Everson. I mean, Everson stands out. I mean, it's almost like he's back in like 28-year-old Everson Griffin. Him and Danielle Hunter with 10 sacks combined are the #1 duo for getting to the quarterback. I think he's been a huge help because we know what Danielle can do, and having Ev, because everybody's like, it's a DJ Wanham, it's Everson. And Everson is playing his role well. He's listening. He's doing what he has to do. And then everybody else feeds off those 2 guys' energy, and that's what I like the most.
That second half defense, 4th in the NFL, 2nd last week with points allowed. They were 1st for a second before DeAndre Swift got in, then they got that 2-point conversion. The second half defense has become really, really stingy. And from a run defense standpoint, I would imagine coach would want it better in totality because he's a perfectionist. But really, there have been some big spot runs, Hobie. Chris Carson, 39-yard touchdown. Kareem Hunt got that 33. DeAndre Swift with the unexpected run late. If they can lock up those big spot runs, then I think people would look at the defense a little differently.
Especially, too, whenever Eric Kendricks is making one-handed interceptions, might be lining up at tight end because there might be a position of need moving forward for the Vikings. But sticking with that defense, they're really shining right now is that group and that core. A lot of guys who have played a lot of football together. And for more on that side of the ball, we toss it now to Dawn Mitchell, who heard from some of the guys earlier today.
Pierre was talking about that second half defense. Well, the defense wants to take that and unleash it in the first half, right? They also want to limit the runs, of course. They said they're not worried about their run defense, but they want to tighten that up and no splash plays. But you get Everson Griffin back. Anthony Barr is back. And you're starting to see the identity of this defense come to mind. And also a little bit of fun again. Every season, it's a little bit different, obviously, but with 2 parts of the core back in Anthony Barr and Everson Griffin, the familiar ease is returning. For Eric Kendricks, having Barr back is like getting your right hand back.
I mean, shoot, we obviously went to college together. We were in the same coaching staff and just through the beginning of the NFL. So we kind of just do things very similar as far as how we think and, what kind of checks we make first. And I feel like it's just nice for sure.
Getting Everson Griffin back on the roster and to form has been a nice bonus. In 4 games, he has 4 sacks and a forced fumble.
Man, he's an animal. He's a sack daddy for a reason. He finds a way to get to the quarterback. He's very ferocious, nonstop, has that motor that never dies.
Everson's going Everson, sack daddy. So that's what's up.
And, of course, Eric Kendricks is also playing well. His one-handed interception against the Lions, so fun to watch. He says his game has matured, but it's a fine balance to keep that childlike spark as well.
He's never going to have a problem having the childlike mentality. He's always bouncing around. Every time he runs out of the tunnel, he's running out like he's a school kid going out to recess.
It is a balance, you know what I mean? You got to trust your instincts as well, but you also, the game of football, at this level, it gets so serious so often. And I mean, obviously it's our job. We're trying to go out there and win games every Sunday. But in the same breath, it is a game. You know what I mean? You got to kind of treat it like that, for the enjoyment purposes and, to keep it fresh,
Fresh. They have the balance. They also now have veterans at every position back there. And I think EK said it the best, right? That's what's up. So the defense is up. Back to you.
Dawn, thank you very much. The Panthers were trending up toward the start of the season, came out of the gate, won 3 straight games, but since then have lost back-to-back. What is your read on this Panthers team, Ron, heading into a game that could decide the trajectory for either team heading into the rest of 2020?
Yeah, I hate to call it must-win, but it is for both.
Second time that you said that
I know,
this year.
I hate to do it, but it is. It's a must-win game because you're right. This is going to kind of decide. 3-3, a 3-3 Vikings coming out of the bye still have a chance to, be in the wild card 6 or 7 spot. And the Packers could still come back to the pack too, and that's the big difference. The Panthers, they have a lot of work to do. I mean, you got the Buccaneers who are looking really good right now, and they're trying to do the same thing. They want that wild card spot. So yeah, this is going to be a big weekend for them.
Yeah, you see there on the graphic, the Panthers have lost their last 2. I mean, Ron's up here making it sound like Chuba Hubbard's better than Christian McCaffrey. But the 2 Christians been out, the Panthers have lost both. Yeah. I'm not in love with their roster. And, they have a safety second year from Southern Illinois named Jeremy Chin. I'm in love with him. Burns and Reddick, they combined for 10 sacks. And they got a nice tackle in Derek Brown. Rest of that, man, I'm just not in love with their roster. Vikings beat them last year in the spine tingler. Bad season for the Vikings last year. I think the Vikings win Sunday.
And Jeremy Chin had a huge game, if I do not stand corrected, that last time that they played a year ago. But whenever you look at this Panthers team, a new quarterback leading the way for Carolina this year, Sam Darnold. He had 6 touchdowns, of course, but also 6 picks, 3 including in the last game, Ron.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is I'm not going to do the whole he saw ghost, but you'll see in the plays when we go through them, he's in the end zone and he's moving faster than what the play is allowing, and he's looking the receiver down too long. And when you look the receiver down, you're going to see in this play that the safety can easily break on it. And I think that's the problem is his eyes are telling the safeties exactly where to go. So here's a good Sam Darnold, which he's going to throw on timing. He knows it's basically a concept high-low. That linebacker, that safety jumps to low. He's going to throw the dig. He puts it in there early enough where the safety can't get a big hit on his receiver. But this next one, it's simple cover 2. There's nobody threatening the flat because the linebacker has it. So that corner, instead of sitting in the flat, he's just going to fade back with that receiver. And the safety never is told to go anywhere else but to that because he's like, you're staring this guy down. I'm just going to follow your eyes. And that's just bad Sam Darnold. He's in the end zone, and that's why he sped it up.
And you mentioned how well Christian McCaffrey helps this offense, PA. But Chuba Hubbard, the rookie out of Oklahoma State, can really do some damage if he finds the opportunity.
Well, Chuba, when he came out of Oklahoma State, was lauded for his vision. Now, in watching back some of his plays, Coach Zimmer knows more about this than me, but he doesn't seem like the biggest threat in the world getting outside. Just doesn't seem super fast. 3.9 per carry guy, still 0 TDs.
It's incredible. If we can show you some of those plays right now, here he's looking to go outside, PA.
Right, but this is more about the Eagles, in my opinion. I mean, I'm not an elite film watching mine, but my man right there falls. Darius Slay with the worst corner attempt tackle in the history of football, and then Hubbard is made to look faster than he is. Now, this is nice. I mean, he plants, and there he goes. 57 got blocked up nicely. And that right there is big-time Chuba Hubbard. I just don't envision it being these long and these loose type runs. But he was lauded for his vision coming out of Oklahoma State. Seems to be a smart kid, but doesn't catch it much. Still 0 TDs.
How'd they do on the film breakdown?
You think
Pretty
so?
good. All right. If the head coach says it was good, that's good enough for me.
Yes.
As you can tell, still much more to come on Vikings Live. We're joined by the head coach of the Minnesota Vikings, Mike Zimmer, joining us live in studio to go one-on-one in our spotlight this week with Paul Allen. Stay tuned. Much more Vikings Live coming up after the break.
Yeah.
Welcome back to Vikings Live. Brought to you by Miller Lite and Luther Auto.
Snap, spot, Joseph, excellent leg, get up there, and yes! It is good! You like that! You like that! You like that!
Well, when push came to shove against the Lions last week, the Vikings pulled out a win against Detroit in crunch time. And it also, as you saw, led to some friendly pushing and shoving between Mike Zimmer and his starting quarterback. But now it's time for Zim to help push his team to 500 this weekend in Carolina. And for more with the Vikings head coach, we now send it over to Paul Allen in this week's Spotlight with the one and only Mike Zimmer.
Hobie, right on. You shoved him so hard. He's half your age. Why'd you shove him so hard?
He pushed me pretty hard, too. So I want to get back at him.
So with you like that was like, I don't. And here's Dan Campbell looking around going, hey, where's Mike? We're supposed to shake hands here, you know?
Yeah, it was a lot of emotions going on at that point in the ball game, you know. Got the game in hand. They got to, you know, they come back. We fumbled the ball. They got a chance to win the game. And then Kirk takes us down a 2-minute drill, and we kick the field goal to win.
Well, what I said earlier with Ron and Hobie, with Kirk, when it becomes a frenzy, end of Arizona, Cincinnati, there, I mean, he's just naturally good at that, just getting there quickly and making lickety-split decisions, right?
Yeah, I think he's getting really comfortable with those 2-minute drills. I think he's getting really comfortable with offensively when the things kind of break down and he's got to move around and make some plays. He's been working on it, all spring and this fall, and he's doing a good job.
Well, when I saw you after that Lions game, Zim, you were just exhausted, exasperated. I mean, did the media wear you out with the press conference?
No, that was the least part of it. It was the 60 minutes of the ball game.
Yeah. And then the way it ended, it's, like the Carolina game last year, that, BB muffs the punt, then he wins the game. It's every game you have this year is a nail biter. I mean, how's your heart?
Well, I got to start taking my blood pressure medicine for sure.
Jeez. But these games are super exciting, right?
Yeah, they're exciting. We need to make them a little less exciting.
Now, you when you talked about Dan Campbell and the Lions into that game, and a lot of people thought it was cliche with how people are describing the Lions. He hasn't playing tough. They don't have the greatest talent in the world right now, but they will fight tooth and nail for you. And you saw that right to the end. This Carolina defense seems like it has some fight to it too.
Yeah, they've got talented players, and they're going to bring guys from every area that they can. Nickelback, the corners, the linebackers. They got 2 great edge rushers. The guys in the middle are stout. They give you a lot of different looks. The corners sit on all the routes. So it'll be a very combative day for us.
Now, I mentioned Dalvin Cook went full in practice today. No guarantee he plays this weekend, but that's good news. And Trey Boston no longer is on their team, so we don't have to worry about anybody trying to break his ankle at the end of the pile, at the bottom of the pile, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that happened in Arizona, if I remember right.
Yeah, but it was at U.S. Bank Stadium. I think it was Trey Boston.
Yeah, I know, but I was talking about.
Oh, it happened. Somebody else did it?
A couple weeks ago.
Whoa.
In Arizona, maybe.
What's happening, dude? Are you getting with Commissioner Goodell saying, have these players stop trying to break my players' bones?
Yeah, my poor guy. He's just trying to play football.
You guys, as I mentioned, are always in nail biters, and as I said earlier, and I mean it. It's if you can get that offense and defense to mesh, and game after game after game. Honestly, I think you could beat any team in the National Football League. But with the offense, the way it's gone of late, last 2.5 games, what has slowed, and what do you think will change?
Well, we did a lot of research this past Monday. I had all of the offensive coaches do a lot of research on a lot of different areas, second half possessions, what we're doing after a penalty, what we're doing after a earned first down, what we're doing after a sack, all the different scenarios that we have, and what we're doing in the red zone. And so I think we've found some tendencies that we need to fix. And, so hopefully that'll show up this week.
You're 2-0 with Madison, but I have to imagine when Cook doesn't play that there's something, the defenses are just laying off of, making it tougher to get yards. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is, like Detroit last week, they did a really good job of changing up the coverages and still being able to stop the run. So if we can get to these guys getting down into more 8-man boxes with Dalvin in there, then I think we'll have some more success throwing the football as well.
Lastly, through the 2 and 3, you have contended. I know what a bad team looks like. This is not a bad team. This is a good team. What are some indicators into this game that helps fans and/or you keep the faith?
Well, like I said, I've been doing this for 27 years, so I've seen less talented teams. I've seen more talented teams maybe, but the way these guys work together and the things that they can do collectively as a group, whether it's special teams or offense or defense, when you look at Jefferson and Thielen and Cook and Cousins, Tyler Conklin. You look at these guys. You look at Brian O'Neill. You look at some of those things they do, and then you look at defensively, and you got Everson and Hunter and Barr and Kendricks and Dalvin Tom, and Harry Peterson.
Yeah.
It's a collectively good group, and it's taken us a little bit while to gel. I'm not sure why, but once we do gel, we're going to be dangerous.
Thanks for the chat. Good luck this weekend.
All right, thanks, Paul.
Hobie, Zim being Zim.
Zim, always appreciate your time. Thank you. Still to come here on Vikings Live, we take a look at Thursday Night Football tonight in Philly as the Bucs take on the Eagles. We'll chat about that when we return here on Vikings Live.
Brought to you by Miller Lite and Luther Auto.
Well, before we look ahead to Thursday Night Football, the big game for the Vikings against the Panthers coming up on Fox 9 at noon on Sunday. Ron, a key to victory for the Vikings.
They have to establish the run, and they have to eliminate the big plays by the Carolina Panthers. Simple.
Cousins running. His career high, 41 last year at Tampa. He's going to break that this weekend. The way they play defense, it is a run fest for a quarterback. Watch him take advantage.
Oh, look at this. Kirk Vick. We'll see if we see it on Sunday. As for tonight, Thursday Night Football, of course, it's the Bucs at the Eagles. Philly kind of trending and just floating there. Tampa, though, looks like a bust. So who you got tonight?
I got Tampa because he's mad about the Eagles taking the championship from him.
Tampa, low-scoring game.
Low-scoring game.
Yeah.
I think that the Eagles could have a chance to win this thing, but Jalen Hurts has to play out of his mind.
Buccaneers have key injuries, so be
yes,
careful.
they do. Antoine Winfield Jr., one of those.
And Levante David. Bucks, low scoring.
All righty, that'll do it for us here on Vikings Live. We'll see you Sunday for Vikings Game Day Live before that game between the Vikings and the Panthers at noon on Sunday.